Morning everyone, I'm at the rectory and there's not a lot going on here at the moment, but I wanted to take some time to talk about why there's not a lot going on here at the moment. Just wanted to talk about some of the delays in the project, which might sound boring, but I think there's quite a lot to be learned. It basically stems from the fact that this is my first big property project like this, and there's a lot of things I just didn't know about the process, about what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. So I'm going to talk a bit about some of those processes, some things I haven't done, wish I'd done sooner, and basically what's happening with the project at the moment and why you're probably not seeing any particularly interesting dramatic progress going on. The other thing I'd like to do in this video is to go through our floor plans again. So months ago when we first bought the house, I did a video about the floor plans, kind of showing what they were before and showing what some of our initial ideas were. But now we've had a lot more time to actually sit down with them. We've got some really much stronger ideas about what the floor plans are going to be and what's going to change and what's not going to change. So I'd like to go through those, and I'll try and get some footage from inside the house and put it together with the floor plans that we've drawn up, and hopefully give you a good idea of what our plans are and put some of the rooms we've been showing you into a bit more perspective.
Do it again. So there is no asbestos van here currently because the asbestos guys are delayed in starting the work. So while they're not here, I'm going to take the opportunity to collect our shutter hardware so that I can take it home and start hopefully stripping it, because you guys gave us some amazing tips for how to do this. So let's try them. Got them in all their bags, all labelled by rooms. So I'm going to take them back to our current place and see how I get on. In the meantime, let me show you what's been going on with the garden here. So Charlie's lovely parents, Annie and Rob, have been doing loads of work on the garden for us, which I can't tell you how grateful we are for that, because it's taken so much pressure off of us. So the other day, Annie was hard at work clearing all of this area. I didn't even know this was here. That's how overgrown it was. Look at the size of it. And then as we carry on down through the driveway, she's cleared all of this. Rob's been keeping on top of the grass for us. She found a lovely selection of bits and pieces here.
So first of all, to talk about some of the delays, this isn't very exciting, I know, but I wanted this YouTube channel to be a genuine description of our journey and what we're doing as very much amateurs in the field of renovating a house. I'm going to try and talk about what's going on and what we've done right and what we've done wrong, and hopefully this can be interesting and maybe even slightly educational so that people don't make some of the same mistakes. The problem we have, as I mentioned in the last video, is with building regulations and building control. And what has happened is that when I embarked on this project, I thought this was going to be essentially a DIY project. I discovered that we didn't need planning permission for what we were doing, and I was aware that we had to follow building regulations, and I was aware that we had to put notice in to the building control, which is the department that deals with building regulations, before we started our work. But what I hadn't anticipated was that building control would really like from us a full set of professionally drawn plans of what we're going to do. So here we are several months into the project, and I'd never hired an architect up to this point because we knew what we wanted to do. We just didn't realise that an architect was something that we needed, because we thought we could just sit down and work out what to do with the rooms ourselves. And to an extent that's true. But one of the things that you get from hiring an architect is the ability to have accurate technical plans drawn up. And that is what the building control department now want from us. These technical plans of what we're going to be doing, which include the locations of walls and what we're changing, and the locations of things like pipes, electrical installations, all of the stuff that we're installing or changing. They want to see it on a plan, and that way they can pre-approve it and sign it off so that we know that we're doing the right thing, and they know that we're doing the right thing, and nobody makes any serious mistakes that have to be redone later. The downside is that because I wasn't aware of that, I hadn't hired an architect, and so I've now suddenly had to stop everything we're doing and find an architect to work with. And obviously they can't get started immediately, so there's a bit of a delay moving there. And now that we have hired an architect and they're ready to get started, the problem we have is that we've got this asbestos. And again, we're always aware of the asbestos. We always knew that we needed to get it removed. But the process of actually getting that done, of getting it surveyed and then finding quotes and finding a company to do it, waiting for that company to have availability to come and actually do the work, these things take months all added up. And again, if I had known more about the process, if this wasn't my first time, I think I could have got the ball rolling on all of that stuff months ago, and I think we'd be so much further along right now. But I did this project to learn about the process, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And these delays, they're not a huge problem for us. As we've mentioned in the past, Emma's a full-time student. I have a part-time job at the moment, so that's given me a bit of freedom, but it also means that when I'm not working on the house, I do have other things to be getting on with. So the delays are not a huge problem for us. So that's where we are with that. We are now just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the asbestos contractors to begin. They were actually due to begin last week. And in fact, by the time this video is published, they were due to have finished. But it turns out they had somebody off sick and they couldn't get started. And as a consequence, we're now waiting for next week for them to get started. And that has a knock-on effect. The surveyors who are working for the architects can't come in to measure up until the asbestos is dealt with. So we're just sitting around doing very, very little at the moment. It has given us the opportunity, though, to spend a bit more time looking for contractors, talking with contractors, starting to get an idea of what they're going to do, how much they're going to charge, and things like that. So it's not exactly time wasted, it's just a bit less efficient than perhaps I would have liked to have been. And the other thing is we've had lots more time, just Emma and I, to sit down with floor plans, work out what we want, where we want to put things. And so that's what the next part of this video is going to be about, is going to be, I'm going to walk around the house, I'm going to show you the rooms yet again. So regular viewers, I'm sure you've probably seen these rooms a million times, but I want to put them into the context of the floor plan and give a slightly clearer idea now of how we're going to use those rooms. So let's get started with that. So this is the right of the two front doors, and this is definitely what we're going to use as our main front door. The other front door, which leads into a tiny little corridor, we'll be keeping the door, but we won't be really using it. It'll be more like a secondary entrance. Before I carry on, I just want to flash back to what the floor plans were like when we bought the house. These are the floor plans that were actually provided to us by the estate agent when we bought the house, and these show the flats that it was divided into. So this is the ground floor, first of all, and to the right there's the rooms marked F1. So there was a bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom of flat 1, and then to the left there was a bedroom, a bathroom, a living room and a kitchen of flat 2. And you can see where there are some fairly unnatural partitions that have been added in there, and the main aim here is to get rid of those partitions and open it out. So moving on to the first floor now, and it's very much the same story. We've got 2 more flats here on the first floor, 1 on each side. It's particularly interesting looking at the bottom side of this image. You can see that the bathroom has been split in half to make 2 bathrooms. But other than that, it's the same sort of layout as downstairs. And again, in the top left, you can see where the living room was split in half to make a living room and kitchen. So again, that's the sort of partition that our priority is to remove. And then moving on to the second floor, which is the attic room. A bit of confusion here. In the UK, we have the ground floor at the bottom, and then the next floor up is called the first floor. So the second floor here is actually what you might call the third floor. It's the attic rooms. And in there, the layout was another flat, flat 5 it's called, And it has here a bedroom, a living room, a kitchen and a bathroom, much the same as each of the other flats. And again, like everywhere else, our goal is just to remove some of the partition walls and open it out into bigger rooms. But we'll see as we walk around what's happening there. But I just wanted to go through and show the original floor plans before I show you what it is we're planning to do with them. And here we are coming into the main front entrance, which I've showed many, many times. And off to the right of that entrance is the first room I'm going to talk about. And this we have now called the library. So we were previously thinking of using this as a dining room, but we decided that this will be an ideal room. We're calling it the library. It's basically going to be like a snug or a reading room or a den, as you might call it. It's going to have some bookshelves on the wall and a couple of armchairs and just a sort of comfortable secondary kind of living room. Coming around the corner into one of the large rooms, this we've now got labelled as our dining room. So this is a big, lovely reception room. It's got some of the nicest views out onto the garden. And we thought that this was deserving of being a dining room. A lot of people have criticised the layout of this house because this room is so far from the kitchen and people are concerned about carrying food through from the kitchen to the dining room. And I think that is something we're just going to have to potentially live with because it is the only nice room that isn't the living room. So going around the corner into the other large main reception room, and this is absolutely what we are calling the living room. It's got the fireplace. It's right in the centre of the house. Again, it's got nice views out onto the garden, but the main thing in this decision process was the fireplace. We want somewhere where we can sit and enjoy the fire. And there's plenty of room in here for other things, obviously sofas, a TV, that kind of thing. So that's going to be our main living area. Sorry, there's a ladder in the middle of it. So carrying on through downstairs. Here on the left, we've got the downstairs toilet. So this room will be, first of all, opened out into one big room, which will be the downstairs toilet or powder room or cloak room. But it's going to be basically just a room with a toilet and a mirror and a cupboard. And then part of it will be sectioned off to be our hot water tank. So there's going to be a big set of doors which open into just basically a big cupboard where the hot water tank will reside, because that's got to go somewhere. And that's a nice big room that's not really serving any other purpose. So it makes sense to take a chunk off that. Carrying on, this is, and always has been without a doubt, our kitchen. So I won't talk at length about that, but this is the cooler end of the house. And this room has really everything ready to become the kitchen. There's a space to put a counter along one side. It's got the nice bay window where we can have perhaps an island, and there's plenty of space in there. Immediately next to that kitchen is the utility room, and this is always our plan here. So this is, again, a fairly cool room at the centre of the house, and that will be a utility room. We'll be putting our washer, our dryer, our dishwasher, hopefully a dog bath in here. It'll just be a place for dirty dishes and muddy boots and all sorts. Now, coming upstairs, the first room we get to is what on our official plans, this is called a bedroom. And it'll be a very generic room. All of the bedrooms upstairs will be decorated the same, they'll be built the same, and they will just be bedroom. But the reality is that this much smaller bedroom we will almost certainly convert into a dressing room when it comes to living here. And this is the master bedroom. There's not a huge amount to say about it. Like all of these upstairs rooms, it is just a room, and what gets done with it is going to be very much up to the person moving in. and the person moving in is going to be us, and we're going to put a bed in it. But there's not really any more to say about it than that. One thing we have decided with this house is that we're not going to go with ensuite bedrooms. It would have been very tempting to put ensuite bathrooms into some of these huge bedrooms because they do have the space for it. But the reason we're not doing that is because we don't need more small rooms. We've got plenty of rooms as it is, so we'd prefer to just use up some of those rooms to make more proper bathrooms. And we love the huge extent of the original rooms, and we don't think we want to start cutting those up to make en-suites. Coming down the corridor, we come towards the second main bedroom. And again, in terms of actually moving in and using it, there's a good chance that this bedroom will be turned into an office. So my home office where I can work. And then directly opposite that is our master bathroom. This room, which is currently split in half by this wall, will be opened out, and that, as has always been our plan, will be the master bathroom. As the asbestos contractors haven't been yet, we can't carry on upstairs, so I'm just going to quickly jump to the other side of this wall and carry on. We've got the third main bedroom. Same story, just a big, nice open room. This is probably going to be used by us as our guest bedroom. And next to it, at the end of the house, at this end, this is the room that has the opening out onto the flat roof. And this is going to be our second bathroom. It's directly above the utility room, and it just makes sense for this to be another place to put pipe work and have as a second bathroom. And then finally we can head up to the top floor, and there's been more discussion about this probably than any other part of the house. So we'll go, it's in four equal corners up here. So we'll just do them in order. First of all, this one at the back that will have a lovely view of the garden once these windows are fixed or replaced. This, again, we've just labelled it bedroom. Ultimately, it's a room that can be used for absolutely anything. It might be a hobby room or a man cave or anything like that. And the same with the other room directly opposite it, which is just a mirror image. And that is going to be another general purpose room. It could be a bedroom, hobby room, whatever. And this is it's getting boring almost now, but the same thing in this third room. This is at the front of the house now. And this room, again, it's just going to be a bedroom, as we're calling it, but a room for whatever someone wants to use it for. The corridor, this big wide corridor up here, we are going to open it out completely. So we're just going to try and let this room get as much light as it can from this one tiny window. Just have it as a nice bit of space. There's also good potential for putting cupboards in this central corridor. So this side, which is currently walled off, maybe turns into some storage cupboards. And then finally, the fourth quadrant, we've got the room that was previously the bathroom of this flat. And on the side of it, we've got the room that was the water tank room. The final bit of demolition I'm going to be doing is knocking down the wall between these two, so turning this into one big room. So it's basically a mirror of the other three rooms up here, and this will be a bathroom, so our third and final bathroom up in this corner. So to summarise all of that, here's the ground floor as it was when we bought it, with the two flats, and this is what we're turning it into. So down on this ground floor we've got the three big rooms, which are the kitchen, living room and dining room, and then the three smaller rooms, which are the utility room, WC and library. And then onto the middle floor. Here it is with the mess of rooms. There was two flats before, and as we take those walls out, this is what we end up with. The three big bedrooms, two bathrooms, and then one smaller room, which we hope to use as a dressing room. And then finally up onto the top floor, here we have the one flat that was up there before, and we are opening that out into 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. I think that's just about it for floor plans. Do let me know if you've got any comments about these, if you think I've missed anything or done anything silly. I think the main thing I still might need to address here is a lack of storage in some parts of the house. I haven't added a huge amount of cupboards that weren't already there, so I'll have to see what I can do about storage. But other than that, we think we're happy with this general layout now.
The hinge hardware's been in the slow cooker all night. I say slow cooker, we don't actually have one of those. It's just a casserole dish. But look at the colour of that water. Doesn't it look lovely? So I'm just going to take all this outside and have a little go at scraping some of the paint off and see how it turns out. So I've just tipped out all the water and I've got all my hardware in the slow cooker liner here. And I cannot believe how good it's turned out. That's one of the latching mechanisms and it got all the paint off. I'm hoping under there it's going to come up like new. So glad you guys recommended this. The only slight problem is this handle or knob is some kind of plastic, I think. This was not meant to be slow cooked. So I'm going to have to replace that, but that's okay. All in all, I think it was well worth doing. I think I'm just going to get some wire wool and give all this a really good scrub and then a really good rinse off. So I've got these outside on the driveway and I'm just going to give them a really good scrub now. This is actually the 3rd batch of hinges that I've done. So whilst they don't look like much now, I kind of trust the process because I've seen how nice they can come up doing this. So just give them a really good scrub. They don't look like much now, but they come up so beautiful by the end of all this. Once I've given them a really good clean and rinsed them off, scraped off any stubborn residual paint, I've been drying them, giving them a really good spray with WD-40 just to get rid of any residual water or rust. And then putting oil in the hinges. And we don't have any special oil for this purpose, so I've been using chain lubricant oil, bicycle chain lubricant oil. I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but we seem to just hoard these random products in the garage. I can't remember the last time either of us rode a bike, but we seem to have all this, all these bicycle cleaning products, including bicycle chain oil, and they're finally coming in handy. I've given them all a really good scrub. I just need to rinse them off now. And look at what this has done to my clothes. Really should have worn my overalls for this. So I've rinsed off all of the residual paint and stuff, and now I need to give them another good scrub to get off the more stubborn paint. Also, I find just a little flat-headed screwdriver is quite good to get the more crusted on paint off. This little toothbrush is good for this. Those are all cleaned now, so I'm just going to give them a really good spray with WD-40, which should make them less stiff and also just get any residual paint or rust off. I love using this stuff. I really like the smell of it too. Just to work it through the mechanisms a bit, like these ones. I always knew we'd find a use for this. So this is what describes itself as 4-step chain lube. And this is the satisfying bit. And I'm so grateful that you guys shared your tips with us for doing this. Because I was, with some of these hinges, they were so covered in paint and rust. I was really skeptical about whether to even bother trying with this. And then I figured I might as well. And I'm so glad I did. Because most of them, there's 6 that are very stuck. But most of them are turning out so nice. We've always wondered what this lump in the lawn is. I'll go around so you can see it better. And we've always wondered if there was something under there. And since then we found this photograph which shows a foundation there. So we're curious to see if it's still there and if it's something we can possibly reuse. So Charlie's gonna poke a crowbar down there and find out if we hit a reasonably solid-ish feeling foundation. Anything?
Doesn't seem like it.
Because it would be a good spot for a greenhouse and it would save us having to pour a whole new
Goes
concrete
that deep
slab.
with nothing.
Still nothing?
I don't think so.
Oh, how disappointing. Yeah, I wonder why it would still have that shape then.